It's just up here. If you just keep your hand up for a second and they'll find you. Yeah, great. So you give a score on the first one. Do you feel secure? Second one, do you feel you receive enough attention? Do you get enough attention? Yes, I suppose, what are you laughing at? I take that as an adamant no. Do you receive enough attention? Give it a score. Is that a 2? Is it a 9? Is it a 7? Is it a minus? Do you feel you give others enough attention? You can score that. Next one, do you feel in control of your life most of the time? That sense of being in control. Would that be a 10? Would that be a 7? Would it depend? And these scores change. I mean, you might have scored this very differently a year ago. You might score it differently again next year. Do you feel in control of your life most of the time? Next one, do you feel part of the wider community? Can you obtain privacy when you need to? You know, sometimes if a house is very, very busy and you literally can't get 5 minutes to have a cup of tea, or there's nowhere or anywhere that you can go to get privacy when you need to. It's actually, imagine how vitally important that is for your mental health. Something as simple as that, to be able to get privacy when you need to. Do you have at least one close friend? One close friend. How would you score that? Do you have an intimate relationship? Now, oftentimes people assume that that is maybe husband or wife or partner or whatever you want to call it, and not necessarily. I mean, you can have a very close relationship with somebody, and it doesn't have to be your husband or wife. It can quite easily be somebody else's husband, I know. Moving quickly along to the next one. Do you, that's an entirely different conference, yeah. See me after. Do you feel an emotional connection to others? Do you feel that you connect with others? Friends, family, where you work, how you work. Do you feel that sense of emotional connection? And if you do, on a scale of 1 to 10, how high is it? Do you feel you have status that is acknowledged? That is acknowledged. It's an important part of our emotional well-being. Are you achieving things and competent in at least one major area of your life? You don't have to be the all-rounder super mum, super wife, super whatever. Just one area are you doing things that kind of challenge you and stuff. And the last one, are you mentally and or physically stretched? Well, you were physically stretched this morning, in a way that gives you a sense of meaning and purpose. Are you mentally and or physically stretched? You know, something that puts a bit of a pull on you. You have to kind of dig a little bit deeper. So that's basically your emotional needs audit. And just looking at your scores, and in a very general way, I mean, this isn't scientific per se, but as a rule of thumb, the argument goes that if your scores are mostly below 4, you are likely, not necessarily, but you're likely to be suffering stress symptoms. Any need, scoring less than 4 is likely to be a major stressor in your life, even just one. And even if only one need is scored below 4, it can be enough to seriously affect your mental well-being. So the next time you can't sleep, or the next time you're biting the head off everybody, even if it is your own shadow, the next time you're highly irritable, or a low mood, or kind of that general anxiety, you know, people sort of say, I feel anxious all the time, but there's nothing particular that's making me that way. A good, I suppose, thing to refer back to is sort of say, okay, well, where are my scores on this? Because hands up those who have at least one score that is 4 or below. At least one. Keep your hand up or hand up. Don't be shy. You're all on camera. I'll get you out later. That you have more than one. More than one. Yeah, there could be more than one. So if I were to say, look at your score, and the one that is 4 or less, or the couple that are 4 or less, is that fair to say that that's really behind any stress that you may have, as a place to start looking? Yeah. So following on from that, what these guys say, this crowd in Mindfields College that came up with this, they said that generally speaking, what the key to happiness, or the key to kind of a balanced life is this: someone or something that loves and or needs you. And this lady here, I met her in the corridor yesterday evening, and we were just saying that we were in for the conference, as you do, and that's exactly what she said. She said, "What are you talking on?" I said, "Oh, just about stress and stuff." And she said, "Well, I'll tell you what is behind stress." And I said, "Will you now? Do you want to do the gig?" And she said, "It's a lack of love." That's it, isn't it? A lot of the time. You see, isn't it very hard even to admit that or to say it? It's too cringy. We're too vulnerable saying that. But someone or something that loves and or needs you. And that doesn't have to be a person. That could be a plant of the no-leg variety. Could be a plant. Someone or something that loves and or needs you. Something that challenges you. Something that challenges you. You married him, yeah. Or a system of belief, that makes sense of the apparent injustices of the world. Because, and even if you're looking at sort of us being up to our eyes in recession, and the genuine knock-on effects of that, it can be very hard to get our head around things. To make your peace with that in some way. And that what helps is to have a system of belief. For many people, up until quite recently, in Ireland anyway, that was invariably religion. There was a strong belief, and that was used to make sense of the apparent injustices of the world. I mean, I don't think there would be anybody in the room here that wouldn't have somebody that was lost young. I heard earlier in the morning somebody that was widowed at 38. But we all know those people. We are those people. So how do you? Because things like that can affect our mental well-health and well-being. And if you don't have a system of belief, the road can be a bit rocky for you. And it really doesn't matter what that system of belief is. I mean, outside of the religious or the moral side of it, it really can be anything that helps you to get your head around things. What happens if these are lacking, those three, or the emotional needs, the scores are coming in quite low? Well, that brings me on to this thing called the cognitive timeline. Cognitive is just a posh word for thoughts, cognitive thinking. And basically, if you're just to think about this yourself, okay, so in your head you think. Basically, you think thoughts, don't you? All of the time. The mind is busy all of the time. Okay. Now, you can think in the present, like here and now, right here and now. I'm sitting, I'm listening to this amazing person. I'm hungry, if you're like me. And you're thinking, so you're in the present. Now, the other thing that your mind can do, your mind can go back. It can go back into the past, can't it? Oh, I'll never forget it, 1946. I need black socks on him, and I'll never forget at the funeral. And we go back over things. Some people spend a lot of the time in the past. And even if that's just yesterday, oh, I shouldn't have done that, I shouldn't have said that, you're not in the present, you've gone back. Another thing that our mind can do is to come forward, and it goes into the future.